Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mayra. So recently I was going on Ulta's website, just checking that new page that they have, and I saw these palettes, and these are the Essence 6-pan eyeshadow palettes. I have 6 of them, and I was very intrigued from the color stories. They are all monochromatic. All of these retail for $3.99 each, except for this one right here, the Coral Me Maybe. This palette retails for $2.99. I have no idea why that retails for $1 less. So these are very affordable, and I was very intrigued because I've never tried anything from Essence. Well, as far as eyeshadow, I have not tried anything from them, so I wanted to try their formula. And I'm not expecting much. Well, I'm sorry, I was not expecting much, but as you can tell, I already have one of those palettes on my eye, so I already tried each of these palettes. So wait till you hear my final thoughts at the end of this video, which of course I'm going to be inserting some time codes or chapters in the description box. So make sure that you check that out in case you are interested in a specific palette. You are going to find that in the description box, so just click on it and it will take you directly to that portion of the video. And also everything is going to be linked in the description box, as far as whatever I have on my face, and each of these palettes, if they are still available, I will also link them for you. Again, I purchased these at Ulta. I am going to be inserting the swatches on each of these palettes at the end of the video, so in case you're interested in that, also I'm going to leave that timestamp for you guys. If you enjoyed this video while watching, don't forget to hit that like button. That really helps my video out a lot, and that also helps my channel grow. And also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. That way you won't miss those future videos. And also, if you are already subscribed, and also if you're new, don't forget to turn on those post notifications. That way every time that I upload, you will get notified and you won't miss any of the videos that I share with you guys. So let's stop the talking and let's get straight right into the video. So the first one that I'm going to start with is the Taupe It Up, which is this one right here. And I'm going to start by applying that lighter shade on under my brow bone. And then I'm just using a Juvia's Place brush. I don't think this set is available anymore. And then I wish this palette had a deeper shade, just so that I could use it on my outer corner. But I'm going to start with this shade right here, and then apply it on the crease. It's very light, so I'm trying to build it up a little bit. And by the way, my eyelids are already primed. I used the CoverGirl Lock It Up primer, which I will be using throughout the video on all of these eyeshadow palettes. And then once this is laid down, I'm going to go in with the deepest matte shadow, which is, I wish it could be darker like I said, but it's gonna work fine. And so far they're applying pretty well on the lids, and they do have a lot of kick up on the pants. And then once we lay this down, I'm gonna go in with a cleaner brush, well, a clean brush. This one is the Morphe R34, and I'm going to blend this a little bit on the crease, just to diffuse and mesh these shades a little bit more. Now, since it's a little patchy there, I'm going to go back in with a medium shade and go over the edge, just like it. Try to blend that patch out a little bit more. There's a little bit patchy there, at least where I'm seeing it in my mirror right now. It's quite patchy there. And then I'm not really focused on this part right here because I'm going to go in with some shimmers. which they feel pretty smooth. And I'm gonna start applying this one right here, just with my finger. A nice shimmer there. And then I'm gonna go in next with the shade right here at the top. Now, they actually do have names on the back. I'm sorry, I just noticed that. So this one's called Saturday Night. They do have a little picture right here at the back where it's right there. You could see the names of the shades there. I'm sorry, I just noticed that right now. I didn't even look at the back, to be honest. And then I'm gonna go in with the Sing Along, and I'm gonna start placing this in the inner part. So these are laying down really nicely. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this from the palette, because again, it's a very affordable price. And then I'm gonna go back in with that shade Sing Along, because I'm sorry, Saturday Night, just because I lost it a little bit there when I applied the Sing Along shade. So they're laying down quite nicely. They're very, very pretty on the eyes. And then I'm going in with this Morphe brush again, the one that had nothing on there, just to blend the edges and diffuse these textures together. So that's looking very nice there. And then I'm gonna try to grab some more of this light shade and blend this here. So that's a little bit better now. Now I'm going in with the shade Groove On in a Luxie 246, and I'm going to apply this all over the lower lash line. Then with the BH Cosmetics brush number 10, I'm going to go in with the shade Feel So Good, and I'm going to run that lightly below the previous shade that I just applied, just so that I can blend that shade a little bit more. And then I'm going to use a Dominique Cosmetics brush, the DSO5, and then I'm going to apply the Hands Up High again, but under the brow bone. And honestly, guys, I am so far very impressed with these shades. Well, at least this one is performing quite nicely right now. So now I'm going to put mascara, and I'll be right back. This is look number 1 using that Taupe It Up palette, and honestly, it looks quite nicely. The only shade that gave me some fallout was that shade Groove On, and obviously the Kick Up on the Pants, but I really love this palette so far. Now on to look number 2, I'm going to use the Bronze This Way palette, and this is how it looks like. Obviously, it's a very warm palette with some neutral shades in there, so let me start. Now I'm using the Morphe JH52 in the shade Right Track, and I'm just going to apply this under the brow bone, just to use kind of like a highlight, and I'm going to set, of course, under here. Now I'm using an Alamar Cosmetics brush, and then I'm just blending the shade Love Yourself on the crease, since there are not many transition shades here, and I just continue blending throughout the crease. So it's blending out quite nicely. It's very pigmented. No complaints yet so far. Now I'm grabbing the shade No Mistakes in a Juvia's Place brush, the JP005, and I'm going to apply this on the outer corner and also on the inner corner. So this one was the deepest one here in this palette, so I'm gonna try to build it up a little bit. And then so I'm just tapping here, tapping, just so I can get the most pigment from the palette. And then again, I'm just going over this side. Now I'm not really worried about blending it yet. I just want to pack on the shade on first, because again, this is just like the deepest shade here in this palette. And then I'm gonna go and grab another brush just so that I can blend this out. So I just went in back to the shade Love Yourself in a JH38 brush from Morphe, and then I'm trying to what's it called? I'm trying to diffuse these two shades together. That way we don't see that harsh line below those lines. Well, between those lines. Sorry, I can't speak and concentrate. Okay, and then with that little brush that I used right now to apply the shadow on the bone, the JH52, on the underbrow, I'm gonna do some of that lighter shade here at the top, just because I'm finding it just a little bit patchy here. So just diffusing those together, blending these together. That way they could be as seamless as possible. But these shades again are very, very pigmented so far. Now this is probably not the right brush for this. To be honest, it's quite small, as you can tell. It's very, very small. But it was here in front of me, so that's why I grabbed this one. But as you can tell, if you obviously work on it, you'll get the result. Okay, so I'm going in with a Beach Cosmetics brush. This is the number 6, and it's a clean brush, so I'm just trying to go over this a little bit more. And here in person, I don't see this patch as pronounced as it is showing on the camera, this little patch right here. I don't know why it's not showing here in person. Let me grab my other mirror just so I could see a little bit better. Well, this one does come with the mirror, so let me use this one. I don't think I mentioned that yet. So, oops, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm trying to blend these here. Yeah, in person it's not coming out as patchy as it is on camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and move along. So I'm going to now apply some of these shimmers down here. The one I'm going to use is Perfect Babe, which is very, very nice. You can see they're quite nice shimmers here. They're so pretty. And I'm going to apply this on the edge of this outer portion. I don't know if you guys can see that here. So I don't think these are as strong as the one in the Taupe palette. Well, I don't know if it's because I have a very smoky eye right now. But now I'm going to go in with the shade Queen, and then I'm going to apply that in the center part of the eyelid. So I'm just doing a halo eye here. And this one is showing a little bit better. Those shimmers are coming through, and I really like that. And that one is giving me some fallout. So let's go OG and use some MAC Fix Plus. And then I'm gonna go in with that shade Queen in the center of my eye. Just, I want to see how much more I can get. But it didn't do much, to be honest. And I applied quite a lot of that MAC Fix Plus. And as you can tell, I did get some fallout from that Queen shade, but that's fine. I could clean it up right now. And now what I want to do is go in with my lower lash line, and I'm going to go in with that JH38 brush, and I'm going to run the shade Love Yourself all over the lower lash line. So these are very pigmented. I'm quite impressed here, to be honest. Very, very impressed. Let me dust this off because it's bothering me. I don't like how this is looking on camera, so I'm gonna try to fix this here, because on camera, like I said, it's picking up that patch a lot, but in person I don't see that patch at all. I don't know why the camera is picking it up, but that's a little bit better. I just went in with the shade No Mistakes, just very lightly going over that. So I think that's doing a little bit better. Yeah, so that fixed it quite a bit. So now I'm going to go with that same shade and that same brush, the JH38, and I'm going to run that on the outer corner only. just so I could deepen this outer corner and match the outer V on the top lid. And I'm just using the shadows Love Yourself and Right Track. I use those so that I could blend this lower lash line a little bit more. And then just using that JH 52 and just blend this one a little bit more. Now I'm gonna go here a little bit higher because I want to blend this a little bit as well. And then I clean this one right now, the outer V. I just cleaned it a little bit with my concealer. That way I could get a little bit more of a sharp edge and get that lifted look a little bit more. So then now, finally, again, just using that JH 52 brush, I'm going to go in with the shade Superstar, and I'm going to apply this on the inner corner of the eye. But now I want to use my finger just to see if I could get this a little bit more deep. I think that showed a little bit better. So yeah, that's quite better. And then a BH Cosmetics number 6 brush just to blend these two textures together, the edge of them, and I think that looks quite nicely. Now I'm just going to put mascara and I'll be back. So this is the final look, and again, I really like this palette as well. The only shade that I noticed some fallout was with the shade Queen, and I didn't notice any kick up on the pants, so that's quite nicely. But yeah, this is the final look. Now let's move on to the palette number 3. The next palette is Coral Me Maybe, and these are the shades right here. So this is obviously a very light neutral palette with that dark shade. So using a Jaclyn Hill JH41, I'm using the shade In My Way, and I'm going to start applying this all over the lid, and then starting from the lash line all the way to the crease, I'm going to apply this shade here. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do with this look. I'm just going with it. And again, my eyelids are already primed with the CoverGirl Lock Lid Up primer. So this is obviously quite light for myself. I do have to build it up because I am a medium skin tone with yellow undertones. So I have to pack this one a little bit more. If you're light skin, of course it's gonna work out a little bit more better for you. And I think I'm gonna add a little bit more just to see how much more it can build up. And these shadows, they're all pretty buttery. I haven't swatched them yet, but the ones that I've touched, they feel extremely buttery, pretty close to high-end shadows in my opinion. And then my eye's watering a little bit here in the inner corner. That's why you could tell there's a little dark spot either in the center. I'm sorry, they're in the inner part, but that's fine. And then I'm going to use the shade Stir Was Holding. So that's going to be the deepest shade in this palette. Now I'm up close here just because I wanted to show you that there was a little bit of fallout with that shade In My Way. I don't know if you guys can tell a little bit there. But I'm gonna dust it off right now. Meanwhile, I'm gonna use that shade Stir Was Holding, and I'm going to place that on my lash line. And I'm using a Morphe brush. This does not have a number, so I'm sorry about that. It's just a tiny shader brush here, you can see. And again, I'm gonna pack that on the top lash line. No, this palette was the one that was less inexpensive than the other ones. So this one was $2.99, and I can't tell that the shades are not as pigmented as the other ones. I mean, they're performing well, but the other ones are a little bit more pigmented in my opinion. So I'm trying to build this up. Now I'm just gonna press a little bit So if you press on it, it's going to get more of that true shadow as it shows on the pen. Because as you can tell on my brush, it's quite pigmented, but once I apply it on the eyes, I lose that pigment. But that's fine. And then I'm gonna go in with another tiny brush, a detail brush, and I'm gonna go over that a little bit. This is the Sigma LO4, and again, this is a very tiny detailed brush. It's a lip brush, but since I do have hooded eyes, I like using this for details on the eyes. It works quite nicely. And I'm just gonna smudge the edge, so focusing it here on the top. I'm going over it quite lightly. And I don't like to do too much of a wing because I don't think that goes well with my eye shape. I have pretty small eyes, and again, I have hooded eyes, so I don't think that goes quite well with my eyes. And then I'm just gonna go back in with that previous brush we were using with the In My Way shade. And I'm gonna go now a little bit higher above my crease. So I like how that's looking. And then I'm gonna grab the shade Just Meet You, and I'm going to place that on the edge of this In My Way shade, just so that I could show a little bit more blending there, and it doesn't look as a straight line as it was showing right now. So as you can see, I'm going higher, 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 just because I want to create that smooth edge. And I'm actually liking how this matte eye is looking. I think I want to leave it like this. There's obviously 3 shimmers in here, but I'm gonna play around with those and use them somewhere else. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back in with that Morphe brush. I'm sorry if you heard someone scream. It was just my kids. They're playing right now. So I'm using that shade again, the Stair Was Holding. Sorry, I don't have a good memory with these names. So just smoking this out on the lower lash line and connecting it with that top shade here. I think that looks pretty good to me. And then now with my finger, I'm going to grab the shade Pennies and Dimes. That's a cute name. So I do have chubby fingers, so I hope this goes on well. I'm gonna place that on the lower part of the eye, trying to get as close as possible to the lash line. So that's it right there. Grab a little bit more. And then I'm gonna clean that finger with my pants, and I'm gonna go now in with the Wishing the Well, and I'm gonna place that on the inner part of the lower lash line. I don't know if it's gonna be much of a difference between these 2 shades. We'll see right now once applied on the eyes. Yeah, there's not much of a difference between these 2 once you apply it on the eyes. The Pennies and Dimes and the Wishing the Well, they are still pretty nice shades, but here in person, once I put them together, I don't think there's quite a difference there. But now I'm going to take a clean brush just so that I can blend those 2 shades together, the JH42, and I'm going to run that on the lower lash line at the very bottom part, and I'm going to try to blend these a little better. Okay, so I did went a little bit lower there, so what I'm gonna do is just correct it with the concealer that I was using. So I'm gonna pinch this brush right here, the one that I was using for my concealer, which is just an e.l.f. brush, and I'm gonna go in and try to remove some of that. You could also go in with a translucent powder, but since this is more of a wet consistency, I like to go in with my concealer. Now I was swatching all of the shimmer shades together because one of them looked like a duochrome to me, and as I swatched it, it definitely confirmed that. And that is the shade that I'm going to use on my inner corner, which is called This Is Crazy. So this is absolutely crazy. That shadow, which is down right here, I'm sorry, these are the ones that I was swatching. So it's this one right here, and there's a duochrome. As you can see, there's a little shift there. I don't know if you guys can tell, but in person I definitely can tell. So as you can tell, this is pretty gold, and then hopefully the camera picks it up as I move my hand. Let's see if the light catches it. There's like a pink tone to it as well. I hope you guys can see it. Like here I could see the pink, and here like more of that golden shade, and it's quite nicely. I am super impressed that this is here in a $2.99 palette. This is crazy. So I'm just gonna apply this in the inner corner, and yeah, that's definitely pretty. I like that quite a lot. And then just on the brow bone as well. So that's pretty there. I'm just gonna blend it up a little bit more, just so that it could look a little bit more blended. And now I'm just gonna finish putting my mascara, and I'll be back. So here's a look with the third palette. And even though that shade In My Way was, well, had a little bit of fallout, and the shade Stir was holding, it didn't build up as, or didn't perform as the pan. That shade, This Is Crazy, I think made up for those two shades that didn't perform as well. I mean, I think they absolutely perform well. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. But that shade, the This Is Crazy, I think it's quite a same shade for a $3 palette. I mean, you can't beat that price, honestly. And for it to be a duochrome, that is so insane, and I really like that from this palette. That was obviously my favorite shade from this palette. Now the fourth palette is called I Like to Move It, Move It, and now I just can't get that song out of my head. Thanks to the palette. So this is the shades here. These are the shades here. They're obviously very pretty and quite purple. So let me get started. So I'm going to go in with the Morphe E23 in the shade Move It and start applying this on the crease. And this one right away, I could tell there's quite some kick up on the pan. I don't know if you guys can see it there. It's this shade right here. So I'm gonna place that here on the crease. And it's building up quite nicely because on the pan, it's not as vibrant as it is showing on my crease. So that's good, because I was afraid that I wasn't going to have a nice transition shade for my skin tone, but this one's coming out pretty nicely. And then what I don't like here is that there's no deep shade or deeper shade where I could do some dimension on the outer V, but I'm going to try. There's quite some kick up there. I'm going to try to mix in the shade, what was it, Catching and Move It. So the one that I'm using, and Catching, I'm going to see if I could build that up here on the outer V and create a deeper shade. And I'm actually going to switch brushes because this one's a little bit thicker, and since I want to pack that on and get the most pigment that I can, I'm going to switch that with this brush. This is a Luxie 213, and yeah, the shades are just not going to go as deep as I want because they're obviously not that pigmented. They're quite muted here, but that's fine. We can just go on. And then I do have some fallout, so I want to dust that off here. And then now I'm just going to go in with my, did you guys see that? And then I'm just going to go in with this beautiful shade. It's called Fantastic. Oh, it's so stunning. Like, look at that. That's gorgeous. And I'm going to start placing this on the like half of my eyelid out. I'm not sure if I want to take it all the way into the corner of the top lid. I think I'm just gonna concentrate it here for now. Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard me well. Whenever I cover my mouth, I know the microphone doesn't pick up my voice nicely. I'm sorry about that. So I'm just building this up here, and that's quite nice. It's like more like a satin finish. Yeah, I don't see it so much being like a shimmer. It looks very shimmery on the pan, but on the eyes it's coming out more like a satin finish, which is nice. There are some specks of brightness there, of shimmer, but not as much as on the pan, but I still like that anyway. And then now I'm going to go in with the shade Into It, and this one is even more satin than the shade Fantastic, and I'm going to place that from the inner corner and touching that previous shade, the Fantastic shade. So I'm trying to build this up here. Again, I forget I can't cover my mouth because the microphone won't pick up my voice. So as you can see, I'm working it with my finger just because the warmth of my finger will help this show a little bit better, the shimmers. So I'm really liking that right now. And then I want to go back in with the shade Fantastic and place that a little bit more, just so that I can blend those two. And now I'm gonna go in back and forth with those two fingers, the shade Fantastic and also the shade Into It, just going back and forth. That way I can blend them a little bit better, and they are a little bit more seamless wherever they start or wherever they end. Okay, so that's that. So it's looking a little bit more like a monochrome look. You can really tell like all the shades that I applied, and so I mean it still looks nice here in person and on camera as well. It looks pretty nicely. But now I'm just gonna go in with a clean brush, the Morphe E17, and I'm going to blend just this edge just a little bit softly. Just go light-handed. I'm grabbing the end of the brush, that way I won't put so much pressure on the brush as it touches my skin and the shadows. Just so I can blend all of these textures together, the satins, the shimmers, the mattes. And I mean, again, a $4 palette is looking quite nicely. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I've never tried anything from Essence, well, besides their mascaras, which are pretty good. Their eyeshadow palettes, I've never tried any of them, the formulas, and I'm quite impressed. Again, to be honest, I'm quite impressed. Now I'm just going to go in with my lower lash line, and I'm going to be using the brush that I was using on my outer V. And again, I'm going to blend these two shades, the Catching and the Move It shades, and I'm gonna run that down on my lower lash line, just all across. And again, these are very powdery. They do have a lot of kick up on the pens. And now I've only used 4 of the shades. I still need to use 2 of them, but they do have some kick up. And then I'm gonna clean that outer powder that I have here. I'm probably gonna go in with a little bit of concealer just to clean this up right here, because I'm looking like if I got punched on my eye. But I'll do that right now at the end. And then I'm just gonna go in with the shade Move It, and I am going to apply that on the, what's it called, under the brow with a JH39. By the way, I really like these brushes. They're quite nice. So you can't really tell that much here, but that one's also quite powdery on the pan. So yeah, this one builds up, definitely. It's building up. At least here in person, I could definitely see that muted lavender shade here. So that's nice. And then I'm going to go in with the shade Energetic, and I'm going to go in the inner corner with that. So I'm going to press and do light circles. Now for this one, I'm going to spray the brush because I want it to be quite bright. I want it to look a little bit blinding just because the eye is looking pretty smoky. And then I'm gonna go back again and I'm gonna spray it again. I'm just using the Cover FX spray. Well, it's one of them. I know they have a few. If you want to know, this is the Cover FX High Performance Setting Spray. So I have a little sample here, and I really like that spray. Okay, so that's as bright as I can get it. So let me clean this down here and then also put mascara, and I'll be back. So here is the fourth look, and this, so far, this one has been the one that has had the most kick up on the pans, and the shades were a little bit drier. The Fantastic and Energetic were the ones that had like a different texture, a little bit more of a drier texture, but I mean, it still performs well in my opinion. It does look quite nice here in person. It's looking a little bit more lighter on camera. I don't know why, maybe it's just the lighting from the window, but here in person it's looking quite plum, and I really like that. That inner corner shade, it definitely helps if you spray your brush with the shadow, and that's going to help it be a little bit more brightened, but I really like the palette too. The next palette is Ice Ice Baby, and that's gonna be another song that's gonna be stuck in my head. And here are the shades. As you can see, a very pretty blue, cool toned shades here. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to, again, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one. So I'm just gonna go with whatever comes up in mind. And I think I'm gonna start in with this shade, let's see, what's this one called, VIP. And I'm going to go in with this the brush JH36, and I'm gonna start that on my crease. And throughout this video, I was watching the other videos, and there's a little noise in the background. So one, it's my fan, my ceiling fan, and then the other one is my air conditioner, which is not working right now. So we're trying to get that fixed again. I don't know what's going on there, but those are the two noises that you hear in the background, and I'm sorry. I can't do much about it. So I'm just continuing to build this up and blending this shade. So this one's looking a little bit more patchy than the other ones. It would probably be best if I pack this on and then blend a little bit, but I already went in with this brush and this technique, so I'm just gonna stick with it for now. And then I'm gonna go grab a clean brush, and I'm going to use the shade Vanilla Ice in a Luxie 121. This one, I got it in a BoxyCharm like a while ago. I have not been subscribed to BoxyCharm in quite a long time, like 2 or 3 years. I think I stopped subscribing to it, but these brushes came in that box, in one of those boxes, and I really love these brushes. These are catchy names. Obviously there's a theme going on with each of these palettes. That's very cute. And then I'm gonna blend this a little bit more here. I think it's grabbing onto the primer. I probably did not blend the primer there, like right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So it's going on really well. And then I want to go in with this shade RAKUTEN, and it's very nice. I swatched it earlier and it has like specks of pink to it, so I'm hoping that it catches on once I apply this on the eye, which yeah, you can definitely see it a little bit whenever I tilt my head and try to catch the lighting in different angles. So I want to place this like all over the lid. I don't know where I was because my kids needed attention and I had to pause for a bit, but I think I was going in with this shade RAKUTEN, and I'm putting that all over the lid. And this shade is honestly very stunning. I think it's my favorite shade so far, even from that coral palette, the duochrome. It's showing up really nicely. It's quite bright, and it's beautiful, to be honest. I can't get enough of that shadow. It's very nice. And then I'm going to go in with the shade Collaborate. What is it? Collaborate and Listen. And I'm going to run that shade all over my lower lash line. So again, there is some fallout here with these shades, and I do notice a little bit of kick up here in the pants. Not as much as that purple palette, but they do have kick up. So in case you mind that, keep that in mind. And then there is some fallout here, as I don't know if you guys can see here, so I'm just going to dust that off a little bit. That glittery shade is sticking on my skin, so, and I don't mind that, you know, it is what it is. And then I'm going to go in with the shade Too Cold, which I can't relate, it's very hot in here. And I'm going to run this on the lower part. Oh, that's quite stunning as well. Wow, that is a gorgeous color too. I really like that color too. That's very pretty. Oh boy. Okay, and then I'm just using a brush to blend these two together, and then the center here. Wow, this palette's very nice. I'm quite impressed. I'm going to go back in with the shade VIP, and I'm going to put this here just so that the lower shade on the lower lash line, I'm sorry, could blend a little bit more with that top shade. And I'm gonna run it a little bit here on the crease. It's like I'm barely tapping my skin. Now I'm going to go in with the shade All Glow in an Alamar Cosmetics brush. And then these again, these were also from a BoxyCharm box. So this one's going in my inner corner, and I'm going to put this under my brow bone as well, on my brow bone. And if you purchase this palette, I would definitely do my eyes first, just because that RAKUTEN shade, well, glitter shade, it did give me a lot of fallout, which I think it gives it some character, you know, the glitter down here. I think it looks quite different and nice. I actually like that. That's why I didn't clean it up either, because it looks a little bit different. But my inner corner, it's looking quite nice, but I want to go ahead and spray it a little bit with that Cover FX setting spray, and I'm going to see if I can build this up a little bit more, which it definitely does. Wow, that did make a difference. Oh my god, this is so stunning. Wow, no words. I honestly have no words for this palette. It's quite nice. So let me go ahead and put mascara and I'll be back. So here's the look that I came up with that fifth palette, and oh my god, I don't have words to describe this palette. It's so stunning. the different textures, the shimmers, the glitters, the metallics. I mean, they are quite stunning. I think this is going to be my favorite palette, but I'm still missing one more, so let me go ahead and do that final look and I'll give you my final thoughts after that. Now the last palette is called Dancing Green, and these are the shades right here. They're very pretty, very green, and I already swatched some of these just so I could have a feel about them as well. So they're again the same creamy formula that they have, and this one's actually like a satin finish. So let me go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start with this shade Watch That Scene, and I'm going to place that on my crease. And this is just a I think this is a Real Techniques brush that I got a while ago in a set. It doesn't have a name or anything, but it's just a fluffy blending brush. And there is some kick up on the pants, I'm noticing that already. So it's building up very nicely. It's very pigmented and so pretty. Now I'm going to go in with the shade You Can Dance in the Luxie 231 brush. So this is that satin finish eyeshadow, and again the names of these shadows are just clinking on my head. And I'm just bending this outer edge, diffusing that a little bit. I don't really like these satin finishes, but this is the lightest shade and it's going to help me blend this edge. And then I'm going to put this under my brow bone. It's not doing much, but it is giving a little bit of that highlight. You can actually see it. There we go. It's a little bit better. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's quite nice. Honestly, I would just probably go in with this shade here, which is called Only 17, and put that all over the lid. But because I am testing these shades, I am going to go in with the shade Night is Young, and I'm going to place that on the outer portion of, well, the outer V. And this is very pigmented. So just build that up, and I'm going to bring it, let's say about there. And then right now I'm just gonna go in with another brush just to blend this here a little bit more. But wow, that's a very impressive shade. It's very pigmented. It does have some fallout, but I mean, I can just dust this off and I should be fine. Let me show you guys that. Oops. So see, we are fine. And wow. Oh boy, these are impressive, to be honest. They're impressive. Okay, now as I was doing this eye, I did go a little bit higher on this eye, so I had to match that here. And then I go ahead and also finish running that green shade, the Night is Young, all across the top lash line. And now I'm just going to go in with the JH40 and start blending this edge just a little bit. It doesn't need that much, just so that it could blend in with the top shade there. Okay, now I'm going to grab the shade Feel the Beat in a Eco Tools brush. This is a detail concealer brush. So as you can tell, it's quite tiny. And I sprayed this, and I'm going to place this here in the inner part of the eyelid. I'm trying not to go over that green shade that I went above my lash line. And I'm going to stop right here, and then I'm going to go in with the same brush, but now I'm just going to use the shade Rock Music. And again, I'm going to grab that with this tiny Eco Tools brush. I'm going to spray, and I'm going to place this right next to it, right above that green shadow on the lash line. I'm gonna grab some more. And I'm gonna fill in this space right here. It's okay if I go on top of that matte shadow, but I'm just trying to fill in this space and give it some more dimension. And then I'm going to use now the back of the brush. I'm cleaning the back of the brush because sometimes it transfers. So I'm going to use the back of the brush, and I'm just going to blend now these two here together so that they could meet. And then as you can tell, I'm trying to create like a little, like a difference there. I don't know how to say it, but I really like that. I like how that looks. And again, with this palette, I would recommend you doing your eyes first because it does have some fallout on the cheeks, and green is quite difficult to take off once you have your foundation on. Okay, now with this shade, Night is Young in a BH Cosmetics, I think this is the V16, yes. I'm going to place this here. I don't know if this brush is available. I think they were discontinuing these brushes, which I don't know why, because I think these were one of the best brushes from BH Cosmetics that I've tried so far. Well, I haven't tried many of the recent ones, but recent ones. Okay, now I'm going in with the Morphe brush in this shade Watch That Scene, and I'm going to run that on the inner part of the lower lash line, the inner half. I'm just packing that on because this is more, it's not going to pick this up a lot, but I want to concentrate it more as far as I can to the lash line. And then once I have that down here, then I'm going to lightly blend here these two shades. Now going in with the shade that I'm very excited about, the Only 17 shade, and I'm going again back in with that Eco Tools brush. I just cleaned it with a towel here. I sprayed it now, and I'm going to apply this on the inner corner. And yes, definitely what I was expecting. It's quite blinding, and this shade here in person is very, very stunning. It's like a silvery shade with green undertones, and I really like that. I'm all for that. That's quite different. I don't think I have something like this shade. If like from whatever I recall, I don't think I have anything this shade, and it's very, very nice. Like I said at the beginning, I want to put this all over my lid because I like that metallic look. It's quite stunning. I'm super impressed. Okay, now I'm going to put on mascara, finish the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be right back to share my final thoughts. So here is the final look, and anything that I have on my face will be linked in the description box, as long as each of these palettes, if they are still available. So make sure to check that out before you exit this video. And final thoughts are that I am so impressed with these palettes. They honestly perform extremely well. There were some hiccups here and there, but overall the palettes perform incredibly well. They all are, well, they all have a very creamy formula. And right now, before I answer the swatches of each of these palettes, I'm going to share with you my top 3, which should not be much of a surprise for you guys, but these would be my top 3, not in any particular order, just again my top 3, which are the cool toned ones. The one that I like the most is actually this Dancing Green palette. I think this one was the one that performed the best out of all of them, in my opinion, and I honestly cannot wait to use all of these again on my eyelids. The bottom 3, they still perform well, but I was not that impressed because I guess the looks that I came out with were just like a little bit more, they were a little bit more subtle, I guess. And this one, the Coral Me Maybe, I was so impressed with that dual chrome that again that one is extremely gorgeous, and that one is the shade This Is Crazy. This one would be, I guess, in the bottom 3, because these two shades here, once you apply them on the eye, even though they look different on the pants, you can really tell much difference when they are applied on the eye. And then these two shades here, this one had a lot of that fallout, and this one, I guess, even though I was packing that shade on, it wasn't showing up as it is on the pan, which is quite a dark brown shade. And that's weird because usually that doesn't happen with brown shades. And the purple one, I guess it's on the bottom 3 as well, because to create a look, it's going to be, you know, it's not going to be very versatile when you use this on the eyes, but again, formula wise, it's perfect. And this bronzed one, well, I mean, I guess I have a lot of palettes in this color category, and that's why also it's in the bottom 3. But I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't recommend any of these. I actually recommend all of these for you guys. And $4 for each of these palettes, plus $3 for this one, which I don't know why this one would be $3, but it is. And for that price, you can't beat that price. I mean, each shade would be approximately, well, that $3 one would be 50 cents each, and then the other ones would come out to about 65 or 67 cents for each of the shadows, which that even beats those e.l.f. quads, that the bite-sized quads, which those come around 75 cents for each of the shadows. The formula on these are spectacular. I just wonder if this is the same formula as the other eyeshadow palettes that I've seen on Ulta's website. So I would recommend for you guys to, if you purchase any of these palettes, I would recommend for you to apply your eyeshadow first, because again, the fallout is there in some of the shades, not all of them, but you at least get fallout with one shade in each pan. I'm sorry, in each eyeshadow palette. So definitely do your eyes first before you go in with your complexion. Now, of course, longevity wise, I'm not quite sure how it's going to last throughout the day. I will leave this on for the rest of the day, which should be about 4 or 6 hours. But also I wanted to mention the Taupe It Up palette. I really recommend this one as well, because there are not quite a lot. Like in general, there's not many cool tone palettes out there. I'm speaking luxury, high-end, affordable. There are not many cool tone palettes. So a $4 cool tone palette, and all the shades perform extremely well. I don't even think e.l.f. has a cool tone palette. Well, at least this cool toned with those grays in there. I don't think e.l.f. has one. From the back of my head, I don't think it does. And so this one also was very outstanding to me because of that. Again, it's very cool toned and it's super affordable, $4. So there's nothing that can beat that out there right now, in my opinion. Now I'm going to insert those swatches for each of these palettes. But before I do, I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little review and first impressions on these palettes. And I hope you consider subscribing if you haven't already. I hope to catch you on my next one, and I'll see you soon. Bye!